Despite the ups and downs in the modding scene of Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord, the game has still many passionate modders who aim to bring extraordinary experiences to Bannerlord. And in this video, I will give you guys a showcase of the top 5 historical total conversion mods that you can play right now. But before we jump into it, a quick word from the sponsor of this video, which is also a Bannerlord mod. Shadows of the Past is a brand new mod that brings meaningful AI-driven dialogues and NPC interactions to the world of Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. The mod introduces a unique story game mode where you interact with unique characters via AI chat to advance the story. NPCs will react dynamically based on your behavior, and the story has many possible endings, so your choices decide what path you will go down. Here, for example, I asked my aunt for some money for the task ahead, and she gave me what she had. Now, the mod currently uses GPT-4o, which is a paid service, so as of now, you have to contribute a few bucks to be able to use it. If you just want to check out the story, you can also play the story mode via the usual Bannerlord multiple choice dialogue system, which is obviously completely free. If this sounds interesting to you, go give the Shadows of the Past mod for Bannerlord a try. You can find the link to it in the video description below. It's a simple one-click installation from the Steam Workshop. The first historical total conversion mod on this list is Empires of Europe 1700, a relatively new mod set around the turn of the 18th century. The mod features a detailed map of Europe with historical accurate regions of that time. There are 15 kingdoms with more than 600 unique lords in over 200 noble houses. Empires of Europe 1700 has custom troop trees with custom armor sets, which are dominated by the typical military codes that were common during that time period. I think they're using pretty much the same 3 or so armor sets for many troops, just with different colors for different kingdoms. It is worth noting that this mod does not rely on any external armory, map or other dependency mods, so everything comes directly included with the mod, which makes it super convenient to install and update. As for melee weapons, there are mostly new sabers and rapiers, iconic weapons of that time. The most eye-catching feature of this mod, however, is the full implementation of gunpowder warfare, which includes muskets, rifles, pistols, artillery and grenades. There are lots of different handguns and rifles with various stats. Some focus on reload speed, others on range or damage. The modders did a fantastic job with the modeling, custom animations and custom sound effects. Speaking of which, the mod also has custom battle cries and command sounds. It's crazy how different and fresh battles in Bannerlord feel with just a few voice line changes. The field artillery has a unique system where you can have one cannon for every 4 engineers in your party. And those cannons are quite effective in long-range fights and open up lots of new tactical possibilities. The next project on this list is Anno Domini 1259, a huge overhaul that transforms Bannerlord into 13th century medieval Europe. Anno Domini 1259 features 29 cultures, 34 kingdoms, 185 clans and more than 1000 custom troops. The mod uses external armory mods to equip all these troops with armor and weapons. Using these armories ensures that the troops closely represent the looks of the time period. The downside, however, is that all these dependency mods make the mod quite heavy when it comes to download size and loading times. But nevertheless, it's hard to deny that the troops in this mod look absolutely gorgeous. The creators also ensured that each unit has somewhat believable variations, so it doesn't look like you have an army of clones. Anno Domini 1259 also offers many custom scenes for villages, hideouts and tournament arenas. Furthermore, the mod uses the Spawn API submod to create random events like this Thrall uprising here, for example, that happened in my playthrough. The next mod on the list takes place during the same time period, but on a much smaller map. Eastern Europe 1259 features a campaign map of 13th century Eastern Europe with historically accurate landscapes and settlements. The mod includes 4 playable cultures and 6 kingdoms. As much as I enjoy big maps with lots of factions and kingdoms, one can't deny that a smaller campaign map has a certain charm and coziness to it. Eastern Europe 1259 has historically accurate troops with custom items and is filled with historical figures from the time period. One of the standout features is the importance of building relationships with these lords and notables, as troops can only be recruited from NPCs you have a good standing with. Therefore, the relation with every notable is tracked separately, so not just relations with clans. The fact that you can't recruit troops easily completely changes how the early game plays out. Personally, I kind of like this gameplay change for a playthrough. They added all these historical figures, so might as well give you a good reason to interact with them and immerse yourself into this world. Eastern Europe 1259 also features a custom soundtrack, new scenes, a basic religion system support, and some other small gameplay features. The third historical mod on this list is Empires of Europe 1100, a mod that comes from the same developer as Empires of Europe 1700. The mod features a huge world map that spans from Ireland to parts of Central Asia and also includes factions in Northern Africa. The map also seems to be extremely dense, especially in the east, where there are many small factions and their villages. Speaking of factions, Empires of Europe 1100 features pretty much all major independent kingdoms from the time period, including their respective leaders and also their clans and their associated lords. In sheer numbers, this means 40 kingdoms, 262 clans with accurate banners, and more than 700 lords based on real-life individuals. It is absolutely wild how much research and work they have put into this. The troop trees in this mod are also true to historical sources. Each culture has a unique militia and noble troop tree, whereas the trees are much smaller than the vanilla ones, mainly due to historical accuracy reasons. The mod primarily uses vanilla assets for troop armor, which has the advantage that there is no need for any dependency mods. Now, you can use a compatible submod called Eric's Troops if you want to use custom equipment from the expanded Bannerlord Armory mod, but it is no requirement. Empires of Europe 1100 also features lots of custom scenes that fit well with the various regions. Like jousting fields in Western Europe, for example, or this Roman-style arena in Italy. I think there was a community scene contest of some sort, and they used some of these scenes for the mod. One standout feature of this mod is the invasions. After 100 in-game days or so, the game will spawn Crusader and Jihadist armies, whereas the Crusaders will always be at war with the Muslim factions and at peace with the Christian factions, and vice versa goes for the Jihadist army. Defeating those armies gives excellent rewards. Those invasions not only fit well into the historical context of the mod, but also add some form of mid to long-term goal to the game that is somewhat lacking in the vanilla version. Last but not least, we have Victorian Era 1870, a brand new mod that just recently released its very first version. Victorian Era 1870 is still very early in development, but thanks to some cooperations, mainly with Empires of Europe 1700, it is already perfectly playable. The devs are also the creators of the Victorian Era mod in Warband, which I think is also a reason they could bring out something relatively polished in such a short time. The mod uses Lemmy's Europe campaign map that covers late 19th century Europe, Northern Africa and Western Asia. There are historically accurate lords and clans, and upon completion there should be 18 kingdoms with historically accurate custom troop trees. As for now in this first version, you can play as any faction you want, but only France, Germany, Russia and Morocco have historically accurate troops. The rest uses some sort of placeholder units. My personal favorite feature of this mod is that you can either start as an unknown adventurer like usual, or you can play as a historical figure. Now one could argue that the early game, where you plan out your character and build up your party, is the most fun part of every Bannerlord playthrough. And I would agree. But still, role-playing as a king in a historical setting and conquering Europe also sounds like a lot of fun. Guys, I know there would be much more to showcase here, but I like to keep these mod highlight videos concise, so you can get a decent overview of what you can expect in a reasonable amount of time. Some really promising historical mods are still in close development, and I think we might get our hands on some of them later this year. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for future content. And as always, thank you all for watching and see you soon.